Hi.
Hey.
Oh, there we go. We didn't know where to come in.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of James and Jess's Half Hour. We have a special guest tonight. We have Katie.
Katie.
Oh. Hi.
How are you, Katie?
I am good
It's
now.
just been a few days, a few years, a decade.
It has.
It has.
Yeah.
We're friends from high school. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I used to sit next to Katie in Money Matters.
What?
I think it was Money Matters.
I can't remember that.
You said that you gave me one of your pencils, I remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
Yeah, and then we've parted ways and we've come back in this, universe. Yep, this my life, your life, yes. It's just meant to be.
At this time and place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what we've all been waiting for.
Exactly. Take it away, Katie.
Yeah.
The floor's yours.
What would you like to introduce our topic?
Yeah. So it's what the art of being your own best friend.
Yeah.
Which is like the perfect topic for me because I had to get really good at it because I was really bad at it. So there you go.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you hit the rock bottom, as they say.
Yeah.
And then you just went skyrocketing up.
Well, yeah. It's been a slow crawl from there.
Yeah.
Surely, slowly but surely.
Yes.
Good, Katie.
Yeah. And I would like to actually say that my intention for this episode is that I'm going to speak nicely about myself. No crap talk. And that's like the start. That's one of my intentions for the year, to be honest.
Can we have a round of applause?
We actually had an episode, New Year's resolutions, where we're actually talking about how hard people are on themselves.
Yeah.
And how, you put so much pressure on yourself. And it's just like, would you put this on someone else?
No. We're just
Totally.
overly critical too much on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To celebrate the highs when they happen, don't just whisk them
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a give and a take.
And, obviously you don't want to be so cocky and
I'm
up
perfect.
yourself. Yeah. Everyone's on a journey, but also to understand that, that's the balance of life is
Yeah.
that you need to appreciate yourself and not be hard on yourself, because if you're hard on yourself, you wouldn't be that hard on other people. So why are you doing it to yourself?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's actually counterproductive. It makes things worse for
Yeah.
yourself and everyone around you.
It's a
I-
mental game, and then it just builds
I
and
actually
builds.
think that
Yeah.
you become harder on yourself and then you start becoming harder on other people. It's like it kind of
Yes.
Absolutely.
correlates.
It's like
Yeah.
a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It starts from you. But that's the hardest thing. I think, your biggest, I think my biggest enemy is myself.
Yeah.
And then some days I'm like, ooh, let's have a wine. And then... But yes, very true.
Yeah.
Especially this lockdown, again, another thing that we've learned, isn't it, to actually grasp is to be your own best friend.
Totally.
Do
'Cause
your
we're
own thing.
stuck with ourselves for that long.
We have been.
Yeah. I actually loved lockdown.
It's good because you
Yeah.
kind of hear that people who either loved it or hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Never
very
the
much
balance.
not people. I know, I didn't find many people like, yeah, it was alright. Right? Mostly it was like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Most-
like shit or
Yeah.
really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did you find most productive from lockdown?
I had a lot of time to focus on my behaviors because everything was slowed down. There was no social events, so it was more like I was able to actually reflect and think, what do I want in my life? What are the things I want to be doing? How do I even want to be, everything was slowed down. So it was I could observe my behaviors and my thoughts a bit more and just tweak everything a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like your short-term and long-term goals?
It's just that's an ongoing thing for me always. Yeah, because I have anxiety and I'm getting therapy and stuff. So it's just been an ongoing thing for my whole life. Is just tweaking those little things, seeing how I can make life a bit easier on myself.
Yeah.
So true. Because so easy to criticize yourself. But look at you,
Yeah.
Katie. Look at you.
Yeah, I've come pretty far, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say that probably last year was the first year that I started to actually really appreciate the person that I was.
Aww.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, and lockdown was a huge part of that. So I'm really thankful for lockdown.
Yay!
Thanks, lockdown.
Cheers.
I kind of feel like the pandemic.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers to. Get your teacup.
Yeah, oh, I'm
Get your
sorry. I'm gonna
teacup.
get my teacup. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, I think lockdown definitely was that time to kind of, I guess, like, don't you find though, like, when you get in front of a mirror, you're your own worst critic. It's like you see things that people don't see, and you know, like, the flaws that you have, and you like pick yourself apart and all that.
People
kind of
can
stuff.
praise you, and you'd be like, if you only knew what I'm
Yeah.
hiding. Yeah, it's so easy to be like, no, actually.
And then, like, you know, you get that compliment, and you kind of sometimes you hear it, and you're just kind of just like, okay,
This
like,
person cooked? No.
okay,
Literally, like,
what do you like?
are they
you know,
that
what do you-
baked
but,
that they're
like,
not seeing the truth?
Yeah, but like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like,
And then when you
Yeah.
start thinking
kind of-
about it, then
kind
you
of,
realize that they're actually saying the truth, but it's hard to accept. Why is the truth so hard to accept?
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Right?
a very good question as well.
Why?
Yeah.
That's
So,
another topic for
yeah.
you.
So, do you think in, you know, obviously lockdown, what were some of the things that you did that made you feel like your own best friend? How were you gentle with yourself? How did you nurture yourself? I guess that's how I kind of see as being your own best friend. Is like friendships about nurturing, like being positive with someone, lifting them up, and just giving them that, you know, not like trying to heal them or do anything.
Just guide
or
them in
change
the right
them,
direction.
but just trying to be like, yeah, this is like awesome. Like, you know, tell me more.
Yeah, I like that, like how you're talking about it as if it's like a third person,
Yeah.
kind of like how you treat an actual person.
Yeah.
How would you like to be treated as well?
Yeah.
It's like mirror effect.
I also think it's almost like, I heard recently about like plants, and it's like a plant just exists. It is what it is. And it's so interesting in humans is that like often we try and, you know, break things down and like put it into categories
Psychoanalyze.
and change things.
When it's
just
something
like,
so basic. Life
you
can
know,
be
this
basic.
person has come
Yeah.
into this form, into this life as this way they are now. And it's kind of just like, what, like, don't try and change it.
No.
And
Because
this
it's
is, you
always
know,
going to
sort of
revert.
nature.
It's going to
just like-
revert back to the way it's
Yeah.
meant to be, yeah?
Yeah.
So you can only provide them advice if they seek it and if they need it, but
Yeah.
don't do that. That's not going to get through. They're just going to do that.
You know, it's like, you can only be my friend if you do this.
Yeah, why are you hanging around this person? I
Yeah.
don't like that person.
Yeah,
No.
or like, why are you doing that? That's weird.
And
Yeah.
that little, it damages you deep
Yeah.
down. Like those little things, and it builds up, builds up, builds up. This is where you have to really have a strong core.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation about this, where you have to have that core that's strong within you, not to be a prick to everyone, but to be like, no, you're invading my space. You need to back off. I need me time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are
Right?
how have you been your best friend during lockdown, Jessica?
Me,
And then
I would
I'll
say,
go back to Katie.
my gosh, I got rid of a
Yeah.
lot of toxic people.
Yeah.
I went ham, as they
Ham.
say in the old days. No, I really got, because you start to notice a lot of things, especially when we were restricted to 5Ks and then 25Ks. I was noticing a lot of things, and I would say it. I wouldn't cut them off wholesale. I'd be like, these are the things that I've noticed coming up. I'm not happy with it. They're either going to take it on board and be like, oh, I understand, or I don't understand. Okay, if you don't understand, we can strike a compromise. And it just flew into something dramatic. And then I
Really?
knew that this person was actually not the right person for me.
Wow.
And then, yeah, it was just, I did a lot of walks around Carrum Downs, where I live, going around the block, around and around, just like cursing. I was literally walking in a circle. I found streets that one should never find. But
Streets that never existed.
No.
as you were going around and around.
there's a new estate there too. I'm like,
Ah,
what? But going around, and then you start processing, and then you just let it go, because if you keep playing it on in your mind, you know, you're not going to get, it's like stagnant water sort of a thing. So you just need to keep going, asking the right questions, addressing it,
Yeah.
not attacking people with it. You could do me wrong. But if I'm just addressing that this is an issue that I have with you,
Yeah.
XYZ, how do we move forward from here? And people don't like that honesty. They see it as an attack.
Yeah.
Even if you're being that straightforward and that basic. So it's that kind of like, it's interesting, the psychology of it. But I got rid of a lot of toxic people. I drank a lot of water.
Nice.
Went to Kmart, got me a 5 kg
Yeah.
I said that's what I'm trying to hold the drink bottle. But yeah,
It was
something-
5 kilos. So
5 kilos water, and I'm like down the street.
Okay. 5 liters?
5 liters.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Kg. Yeah. Yeah, you get like the big
Big
ones
Okay.
Whoa.
with the full on
You're
Okay.
committed.
Yeah.
committed. Yeah.
How about yourself, Katie? What did you do to nurture yourself and be your own best friend?
I also did a lot of walks.
Yeah.
That's what we did during lockdown.
Did you see
Yeah.
all the parks that you never noticed when you were little?
Nah, I actually like moved out of my house during lockdown. That was like a whole thing. So I guess like the main thing I did was make a lot of decisions about like my environment and like where I was. And
Were you like interstate or were you within Victoria?
I was like 15 minutes down the road, but like staying in my parents' house was just like crushing me, and I was like, I need to get out. So I like summoned up the courage, and I like told my parents I was moving out, and they were cool with it, surprisingly, even though I was like terrified. It was like, yeah, making like decisions that scared me, but that were good for me. And also just like a lot of cutting myself some slack, like allowing myself to sleep in and like rest and like
the
do
basics.
things. Yeah, basic stuff. Like I did a lot of just watching TV and like chatting, walking. I also like got a piano and like learned a whole song in like 3 months.
Well,
which is
if you're offering, it's a piano right here.
I know, I was like, woo, hello. Which like, I don't know, I've never, like I'm pretty hard on myself with learning things. So just allowing myself to be like, I'm going to practice 20 minutes a day, and when I start getting pissed off with it, I'm going to leave because it's not fun anymore. And there's no point in being productive if it's not going to be fun, like with my hobbies. So, yeah, that was like a big one for me, I think.
100% agree
Yeah.
with that in terms of creativity. It's like when it's not fun anymore, it's like, why the hell are you doing it?
'Cause you
Especially
need to
with
be in that
music
flow.
and art and
Yeah.
everything. If you're not in the flow and you're not in the
Yeah.
groove of it, and if you're getting frustrated by it, it's like the perfect time to go for a walk.
And come back if you
De-stress.
want, or if you
Yeah.
don't, all right, just leave it there.
Yeah.
Not the instrument's fault, yeah.
And also sometimes it's just good to go have like wine, and then you're like,
Whenever it
start playing
comes,
around,
I
and
always
it comes
find
in.
it comes in the morning for me, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm never like on time, like 1 p.m. or like after my shift. This is the time to
It's
be
like 20
creative.
minutes.
Sometimes it may come when I'm about to fall asleep and I get up and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
they say that for creative people. It normally hits when it's not meant to.
You know, like in
Yeah.
the morning when I'm just about to go to work and I'm like in the car, like trying to record something on my phone, like, shit, am I going to remember this later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird how it just comes over you, those especially creative moments. It's like, bang, just hits ya.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it comes in full form. Sometimes it needs a bit developing.
Yeah.
Like the development, it's interesting.
But you can
Yeah.
never force it. It's like so interesting. Like, I can never, like with the piano, I guess I was like, I have a song to learn. I can sit down for 20 minutes a day. But if there were days where I really didn't feel like it, then I'm not going there. And then like with creating something, it's like, if I try and like, oh, I'm going to sit down and write a song, it just doesn't happen. It'll happen at a weird moment where suddenly a whole song will just like be like bang in my head and I'll be like, shit, all right.
100% agree.
You did that Macklemore, like,
Ooh, wow,
that's
we
the
just
thunder.
heard some thunder.
yes.
And you guys definitely heard that too. Yeah.
You totally drew that. Did you see the Macklemore, like, drawing that she did?
Macklemore? Oh, you mean Mac Miller?
Yeah.
I just combined it all
Middle.
together. Oh my god, that's so funny. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But no, you aced that.
Oh, thank
No,
you.
you really did. Like the
Yeah.
shading and everything. So, Katie, some appreciation.
Thank
You
you. I did the same approach with that painting as well. Like, I used to get really, even with this one, I'd be like, this is pissing me off, or like get really freaked
Yeah.
out. Like, I've fucked up this. I mean, whoop, am I allowed to swear on this
Yeah.
podcast?
Yes.
We're
I signed the lease. It's
Yeah.
I'm getting this
Explicit
right here.
contract, we tick that box. We can swear as much as
Katie.
you want.
Yeah, like, I'm like completely
I'm
like
done.
ruined
Yes.
this.
Get out, Katie.
Oh, no. Yeah. But like, yeah, and in those moments, I'd leave the painting for a few days until I felt cool to come back to it. Because I'm not going to do it in a state where I'm like, oh, am I doing it
Yeah.
wrong? Yeah.
Don't you think that like that is itself being your best friend? When you really think about it, it's like in the creative process, working out what works for you, cutting yourself some slack.
Yeah.
Because you don't need it's the comments that get you. And when the
Yeah.
people try to
I need to
disrupt
try
the process.
harder. I need to
Yeah.
do it now. I need to have it right now. It's just like you can't.
Oh,
force
it's
a
shit.
process.
Yeah. Or even
yeah,
like expectations about like this needs to become like a full-time job, or like I need to become like
How
the best
easily you can
painter in the
escalate,
world.
yeah.
Like fucking hell,
No.
calm down.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And also, it's just like, you know, when you compare yourself, I think comparison is another part of being your own best friend. Is stop doing that.
It's not Da Vinci. No, it's
Yeah,
Katie. All right, just calm down.
Yeah, like this is just the
comparison
best
with
I'm
yourself.
doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's good enough.
Yeah.
And you don't need to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
I agree, because the universe put you here for a reason.
And also, there's
otherwise they
plenty
would
of,
have put Da Vinci again.
also there's plenty of artists who never got the recognition, and there's plenty of people who've written plenty of books where you're like, that's
but they
my
did it for
favorite
them.
book. And they did it for them, and they didn't make much money from it, and like they're not known, you know, in the culture as the best thing, but they speak to you.
They
You know,
do,
like those works, you're like, I really.
Sometimes
like
you
this
just
one.
walk past, like,
Like,
even
you know,
like
yeah.
the homeless people on the street, and you're like,
local artists,
I get it.
Yeah. And it's just like someone doing their thing, and it could be, you know, something very abstract, and you're just like, wow, like that's that's really different, but like it's cool, and you know, you just connect with it. I think that's another thing of being your own best friend is connecting with oneself and understanding your truth, really. Yeah. And the core, coming back to the core of who you are.
Because you have the answer. I always believe that you have the answer. Yeah. It's just you get pushed and pushed and pushed, and then you're like, what's the answer? And like, again? Like, and then it slowly comes out because that's the truth of you.
And everyone's telling you different things about your art, etc., etc., and you're just like, what can I believe? Is this supposed to be genuine? Are they not?
Are they jealous? Yeah. What about you, James? What have you done during this period?
Like this period, I think lockdown. I don't know, it's kind of interesting because I feel like being one's own best friend is definitely cutting slack to yourself. But I also believe that being one's own worst like critic is also kind of productive. Like I think it's like a balance between the two. It's like you can't always just be like,
I'm amazing.
Yeah. You know, you can't always be like, yes, I've got it all together. I know, like, this, like, blah, blah, blah. And, like, and disregarding all that. Like, I understand.
The work that you've done to come to this point, and then how it quickly can be diminished by your own thoughts. No one can even tell you. I think that's the scariest part.
Yeah, I think it's, like, not getting too much of an inflated ego either. Being like one's own best friend is juggling between the positive and the negative, and understand that those things are going to keep coming. There's always going to be that self-doubt, and there's always going to be those moments of people who say that you're doing the wrong thing, that you're being fake, and that there's no truth to you.
Oh, are you my friend? Why are you my... And then you get that aha moment.
And then there's going to be those moments as well where you're questioning yourself. And it's great. I think it's great that you always question things.
Yeah, 100%. I think it needs to happen. Otherwise, you can just get
out of control. Fire. Yeah.
No, I'm amazing.
Yeah, like I'm always right about things. It's like, oh no, sometimes I am wrong, but that's okay. Like it doesn't mean that like I'm an idiot or an asshole. Yeah. It just means that I'm a person, like every other person.
Experience. Yeah.
And I think, especially in the creative world, though, I think like the biggest thing I really think is that so often people will cut other people's creativity down because it's different and they've got their own thoughts and schemes of it. And to be honest
you're better
with you,
than me and I can't handle that.
Yeah.
But also, like, in other terms of things, it's just like the aesthetic doesn't speak to you. Like, sometimes a piece of art form doesn't connect, like, it doesn't connect with you. It connects with heaps of other people. Yeah. And they're like, it's freaking amazing. And with you, it's just like, I don't see the reason why it is. And the biggest thing is, it happened again. Okay.
Thanks, Katie, for bringing it up. I love this, though.
Yeah, I love a good thunderstorm. It's cool.
Like I find myself being critical of some people's art sometimes, but it's probably coming from like a place of like, oh, like they're out there like getting their art out into the world, like why aren't I? And I feel like if I put more confidence behind my art and put myself out there, it wouldn't be so like
This is the thing, isn't it? It's interesting because then you get like accused as well of going, oh, you're not supportive, but they're not realizing like what's happening in here
Yeah.
because they're in the moment of, oh, it's happiness, like it's their form of happiness.
Yeah.
It's the balance of everything. I think it comes down to the balance of everything in life.
I think
Totally.
being one's best friend is understanding that you aren't, what's the word? You are the most imperfect, amazing person.
Unique.
And like yourself, but
Yeah.
also understanding that so is
Yeah.
everyone else. It's like
Everyone's
that
also
counter,
cool and special in their own way. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
that balance between the two of them,
Yeah.
and that's how you can be your own best friend, is understanding that they both exist,
Yeah.
and
this is okay to give that
differentiating
person to shine.
yes.
Everyone has to
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah.
No, we take it in turns, we do, but at the same time, leave that, that's true friendship, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's rare to find.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like it. That's not how it's meant to be. Charlie,
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. So
Maybe he
there's a dog here, and the dog's name is Charlie, and James's dad started shouting Charlie, so we're trying to figure out what's going on.
What happened with Charlie? Dad? What happened with Charlie? Yeah. Why did you yell at Charlie?
Charlie's gone home, everyone.
Okay, Charlie's gone home.
Charlie's gone home.
We don't understand the context.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I was in like a spiritual circle where everyone was quite narcissistic and like I was put on this earth to like do this and like I'm so special because of this, but it's like when you really are your own best friend and value yourself, you don't need to be saying that all the time, and you just have like an inherent like quiet confidence, not that confidence that's like so like out there. Yeah, because I don't think that's
like,
real
who are you?
confidence.
Why are you talking to me? Because I'm Regina George, sort of thing.
Yeah, I honestly think that comes from insecurity.
That's
Absolutely.
like insecurity on
Yeah.
steroids, I would say.
Yeah.
Some next level.
Yes. Yeah.
I think like it, yeah, exactly. It's allowing everyone to have their own voice, allowing everyone to have their thing.
Some
and to
people
be-
can't afford that, though. This is why they are the way
But
that
also
they are.
finding your voice, to be your own best friend, sometimes is having the ability to speak and having the ability to not speak. Am I serving you right now, saying this to you, or am I not serving you right now?
Yeah.
And is this me projecting myself onto you?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very hard balance in today's society, because a lot of the things people say to someone is actually me. It has nothing
It's got
Yeah.
nothing
to
to
do
do with
with
that
you.
person.
Yeah.
And then the
It's
person
some
takes
childhood
it so-
daddy issues.
Yeah, it takes something, you take it
And
on.
then you damage other people,
Yeah.
and then you know you've damaged that person when you're saying it, but you're going to avoid them.
Yeah.
And then you don't apologize. A lot of people don't apologize.
Yeah.
They attack, you're the problem.
There's actually a really good book that I read during lockdown, and it's Jesse Moran. We were talking about it.
Oh, Jesse Moran.
I love Jessie.
Yeah.
Hi, Jessie.
Hi, I'll have you back soon. What was it? The 4 agreements.
Ah, yes.
And one of the first agreements is about be impeccable with your word. And it talks about the fact that your word has so much power. Everything you say to someone is an idea, is a thought. And like
And
you
it
being
grows. It's like a seed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that's exactly,
That's exactly what they say.
to
Literally,
say.
it
And
has
it's
roots,
like,
people.
it has the ability to poison someone and poison
Mhm.
someone's belief. It's like you have a really bad day at work, and then someone's just singing their little song like "Shut up," like
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. What does that do to that person?
The repercussions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
It's so
everything
easy to
you
get into
say.
the mindset, though.
Yeah.
It's just being aware, not that. Stop.
Yeah.
Take a breath. Go sit in a corner.
Yeah. Or like
Yeah.
sometimes even just like I find like sometimes I'll like overshare with people and then I'll be really upset about it. Like, why did I share that with someone I
Yeah.
wasn't safe with? It's like I haven't
It naturally
protected
came
myself.
out, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
It's like-
trust. It is trust.
Yeah.
And then you realize you're like, oh crap, now they know something that they shouldn't know, but it came out when it was meant to come out, right?
I don't know. Sometimes it's like you can be over trusting or like go over your own boundaries. And that's the case for me. like in those instances. But there are other instances where, yeah, like it is like proper trust.
And what have you done to like try and, you know, stop yourself from going there? Is it like an ongoing thing that happens?
Yeah, I've like historically just trod over my boundaries quite a bit. And I think it's just being more mindful of what I'm saying, and also just mindful of the emotions I have after I say something. And when it's not okay, it's like, cool, like I'll not do that again. It's like keeping promises to myself, like, and trying to keep myself like, I don't know, safe. Also like out of my comfort zone a bit, but in those instances where it's like I'm really upset, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to take a few seconds for yourself, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The right people would understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's moments where I think I've done the same, where I've way overshared. And then you're looking back on it and you're just like, I was so freaking vulnerable
Yeah.
in that moment. And then also there's those times where I'm just like, that's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's important to own that vulnerability, because if you don't own it, because often you get those little comments from that person.
It's the little ones. It doesn't have to be you being weird or anything. It can be just little, I don't know.
But it's those little comments and the attitude and the body language from someone when you overshared and you're starting to be like, I've done it again. I've overshared with someone. But like what I've kind of learned from oversharing is it's actually quite interesting, because I kind of feel like their reaction is independent of me, and that's being my own best friend. And that's something that I've tried to learn, especially with COVID-19 calls and calling people in distress, people in PTSD and all that kind of stuff, is that their reaction and their emotion right now is not mine. And it actually is a little bit narcissistic to attach yourself to that emotion.
I'm the same with my role. Yeah.
Empathy is about
100%.
listening.
Yeah.
It's about listening.
Yeah.
And knowing that their feelings are valid. And that's where I think you got to stop with your empathy, is listening and understanding that their feelings is valid, and that's enough. And saying to them, everything you're going through is happening and is real because you're experiencing them right now.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to say to you.
Yeah.
I don't need to say I understand, because I don't understand.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Because I'm not.
I get what you're saying.
I'm not in your circumstances. That's what I'm trying to say.
No. I get it.
We've got the emotion.
I can't say that if someone comes on the phone and says that I've been in a car crash. I'm not going to say that I've been in a car crash, but I'm taking what they're saying on board and kind of like putting myself in that position. I think it's kind of like maybe the way that I read it and how I communicate it. I do say I understand, because I'm taking all of the emotion on board and I'm able to vessel it, but not to my core. The protective barrier is around my core.
That's cool.
I'm not going to let the world in until I say so. But I think that's kind of just like, you need to get hurt. You need to be on the ground, like to be shoved in the mud sort of a feeling, where I've come to that moment where that's how I handle it and how I process it. But there's a spot in me that's mine, it's pure, it's mine. If I want to let you in, it's up to me though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm able to help. I'm able to take it on board. But it's like different processing.
Yeah.
What you're saying is correct too. It's different translations.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing, like,
and different ways
self-love.
of doing things.
Yeah, it's the same thing, different ways of doing
And when you
things.
said about, like, you keep your core, that's kind of like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's just in a
different translation of it, yeah.
Yeah, we're all like, you don't
Uniquely,
know if we're talking about the same thing.
We are.
Because
we probably are.
You've only got the words, and then also you only understand those words based on what you think those
and
words
experiences,
are.
Yeah, and like your own like image of how it works.
Yeah.
And your view of the world is like what you see right now could be completely different.
It's interesting when people are vulnerable, they literally come out with XYZ. And you're on, for me, I'm on the phone or in like real life going, wow. It's never a quick combo. It's always like in detail, they bare their soul and then they let it go. And then they walk away and then they say that they're sorry or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but it's hard to find the right people to say that.
Yeah.
It may take you have to go, you may be playing like the nice game with your friends or whatever, but when adversity hits, then you really know.
It's interesting because when you really get down to it, it's like we can be vulnerable and we can show so much empathy to other people. Why can't we show it to ourselves? And that's part of comes back to the topic.
Yeah.
Is being your own best friend. Is doing those things to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like actually, like I like would get really annoyed when I'd feel an emotion, and now I'm learning to be like, oh, like I'm feeling this emotion, okay, like, and I'll be like, what do you want to do about it? And I'll be like, I don't know what I want to do about it. I'll be like, that's okay, like we'll just like, and I'm just practicing that acceptance, and then eventually I'll find something that soothes me, or like come to a decision of what I'm going to do about it.
It's the path, yeah.
Yeah.
We think that we may be ahead of others, but in fact we probably would be smack bang at the start again. And that's what usually happens. You need to go to the start to learn, to relearn.
Yeah, get humbled.
To get humbled.
You think you're like certain, like you're like, oh, I'm like on top of life, and then something hits you and you're like, oh.
God damn.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Those tower moments.
The tower moments indeed.
Stripped bare, start again. But also that's kind of like what's so good about it, because it kind of reminds you about the life cycle of life. It's just like everything you have here is not permanent. But 100%. We want it to be. Like when we find that safety, when we find that all that kind of stuff, we're like, oh, you know, it's feeling really good. It's feeling really good. And then when it gets taken, it's just like, oh my god, it's the edge of the world. Yeah. It's like, I'm still alive. I'm still breathing.
And then something else grows, and you're like, oh, that was actually better than the other one.
Yeah.
That's life for you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Deep.
I think being one's best friend is allowing those moments to happen, and also being as sympathetic as you are to other people on yourself.
Yeah.
And then in the terms of narcissist, it's the complete opposite. It's being able to realize that there's something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
That's like, I feel there's two lessons.
I'm God and you
being
should therefore follow.
Being more sympathetic towards yourself because you're so sympathetic to other people. And then in the other terms of things, it's like there's something bigger than yourself and something greater than yourself. And you need to really start looking outside of oneself.
Yeah, sometimes when you're like in your own pain so much, it is helpful to get out. You're like, all right, like enough of this.
Yeah.
I'm just getting out. And like self-love looks so different in every single situation and moment.
It's just...
And
it's
everyone's
the little
got
things,
their own
it's extreme things.
Yeah.
It's just like what suits someone won't suit someone else.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, though, when you really, really sit down with yourself, you know what's right for yourself.
Yeah.
It's that voice that, you know, at 2:00 in the morning, it's dead silent, and you're like, oh, that's actually my truth.
Yeah, you just got to listen.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a little, you got that little conscience in you. It's not only giving you negative vibes.
And it kind of tells you sometimes, it's just like, you don't have that much time here. So really, when you really think about it, what have you been avoiding?
Yeah. Why are you not seizing the moment?
You know what I mean? Those things. I was like, what do you keep on thinking that you're not good enough to do? Because it's often those things.
I put you here. What do you...
That you're like, oh, all those things I've doubted through all those years from childhood.
It's a realization, that aha moment.
Yeah. It is those aha moments, Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, Katie.
Oh, thanks for chatting with me, guys.
You have to come back.
Yes.
Yeah, I love talking.
Yeah.
It's
my thing.
YouTube.
Yes, you have, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is it still on YouTube?
I've actually got a video about self-doubt. I forgot what the title is, but it's like, you know.
Yeah,
like
throw your handle.
All right,
and we'll put it in the description.
Chuck you my handle.
Yeah.
It's that one video. The other stuff is like music and then tarot cards on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
A collection.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.